Welcome to the second of Al-Haq's virtual field visits on the impact of the Annexation Wall and its associated regime. In this tour, we focus on the lives of Palestinians living in Al-Walaja, a village soon to be completely encircled by the wall. The green line is the 1967 border, which is internationally considered as the boundary between Israel and the occupied Palestinian territory. The blue line is the Annexation Wall, with the yellow sections in the planning stage and the red sections currently under construction. The wall deviates extensively from the path of the green line, at some points as much as 22 kilometers. If the current plans for the construction of the wall are completed, hundreds of thousands of Palestinians will be living between the green line and the wall, in the area known as the Seam Zone, including approximately 270,000 residents of East Jerusalem. An even greater number of Israeli citizens, living in over 150 settlements illegally constructed inside the OPT, will find themselves on the western side of the wall, fully integrated in practice into the State of Israel. The illegal settlements are shown here in purple, and the Palestinian communities with red house icons. For the Palestinian communities finding themselves within the Seam Zone, daily life has become extremely difficult, with a particularly negative impact on rural and farming communities, who now have inconsistent access to their land. They are reliant on a sequence of gates and checkpoints to cross through the wall. These checkpoints dramatically impede Palestinians' access to work, schools, family, agricultural land, and essential healthcare facilities. Israeli-issued permits are essential for crossing the vast network of checkpoints. However, the permit application system is complex and arbitrary, and is really just another method by which the Israeli occupying power prevents Palestinians from exercising their rights to freedom of movement. This tour will focus on the residents of one community in the West Bank, whose lives have been particularly affected by the construction of the wall through their land. The village of Al-Walaja is situated to the west of Bethlehem. It has a population of just over 2,000. The red area shows the village boundary. The original village was destroyed by invading Israeli forces in 1948. The village is bordered to the east by two settlements, Gilo and Har Gilo. In April 2006, Israel announced plans to encircle Al-Walaja with the Annexation Wall, making it a Palestinian enclave within the illegal settlement bloc. The village will be almost completely isolated from neighbouring communities, only connected to Beit Jala and Bethlehem by a single road. The original route of the wall would have split Al-Walaja into two. However, the community won an appeal in the Israeli courts, and it was modified to go around the village. Construction work on the wall resumed in April 2010, after several years of inactivity. Since then, hundreds of fruit trees have been uprooted or damaged to make way for the wall, depriving families of an important source of income. When it is completed, the wall will separate farmers from almost 1,500 dunams of their land, accessible only through agricultural gates. Israel's policy regarding these gates in other areas suggests that access is likely to be arbitrary and uncertain. One house, situated on the edge of the village, will find itself on the outside of the wall, only connected to the rest of the village by a tunnel. The house will be surrounded by a fence, mounted with sensors, to ensure that the owner and his family do not enter the land soon to be annexed by Israel. By completely surrounding the village and leaving the residents with just one way in and out, the wall and its associated regime will impact the residents' access to health, education, and livelihood resources outside of the village. Under the proposed plan, the sole entrance to the village will be controlled by an Israeli military checkpoint. The movement of people and goods will be strictly regulated by the Israeli occupying forces, effectively making the residents of Al-Walaja prisoners in their own village. Residents of Al-Walaja are faced with the threat of a second forced displacement since 1948. In addition to being enclosed by the wall, the redrawing of the Jerusalem municipal boundary by the Israeli occupying power in 1967 left half of the village without residency rights. For the members of the community whose land was annexed to the Jerusalem municipality, the mere act of residing in their homes is illegal. Consequently, over the years, many residents of Al-Walaja have faced multiple forms of harassment, ranging from arbitrary detention to the imposition of administrative fines for being in Jerusalem without a permit. In addition, Israeli authorities have demolished around 50 houses under the pretext of a lack of building permit, while an additional 56 demolition orders are still pending. The redrawing of borders, the annexation of land, the denial of residency rights, as well as the construction of the wall and its associated regime, mean that residents of Al-Walaja continue to face serious threats to the integrity of their community and their livelihoods. Together, these practices constitute indirect forcible transfer, which is a war crime under international law. Without action to pressure Israel to change its policies, it is possible that Al-Walaja may soon be lost once and for all.